Hi, everyone. Today we'll be talking about the top 10 most asked questions about dogs with Dr. Amber. So let's get started.
So we're here to talk about pets, pet nutrition, and wellness, anything that can help our fur children live a longer, vibrant, and happier lives.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to Vital Pet
Vital
Life
Pet Life.
Podcast.
This is Donnie, your chief treat lady.
And I'm Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life.
Dr. Amber, what age do you think the dogs should get vaccinated? How many weeks? When do we really bring them in to get their vaccines?
So we normally start puppy series around 6 to 8 weeks old, and we do vaccines every 4 weeks until they're 16 weeks. So, for example, if you start them at 6 weeks, then they would get vaccines at 6 weeks old, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, and then 18 weeks. So the magic number, you have to do their last set of shots at or after they're 16 weeks old. If you start them at 8 weeks, then they're going to be 8, 12, and 16. So depending on the age that you start them, they would either end up with 3 or 4 sets of vaccines.
Oh, so does my dog need flea and tick protection around the year? Or is it just like a springtime or summertime? What's the real rules for that?
That's a great question. And it really depends on where in the country you live. So where I live, I'm usually recommending flea and tick prevention only in the warm months and only if they're traveling out of state or going camping in the mountains where you have a high tick burden. We don't have a huge problem with fleas where I live. But in other parts of the country, the South, the Northwest, where it's much more humid and, warmer temperatures year round, then your pet may need to be on flea and tick prevention year round.
Okay, great. So I think that just goes to show for me here in the West Coast that I need to get this guy's the tick and flea medicine.
Yeah, I can probably count on one hand the number of pets I've seen that had fleas that never left the state. And so it's just not a huge problem where I live, although ticks are. So yeah, again, it depends on where you live and what their lifestyle is.
Yeah, especially when we love to hike and we have a lot of bushes everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, this is an interesting question. Why does my dog howl a lot?
So that is a great question. And there are several reasons why dogs can howl. It's a form of communication. It can be a warning. Wolves in the wild howl to warn their packs. So that's part of it. It can be a sign of pain or anxiety or just a reaction to shrill noises. So some owners will say that their dogs howl when they hear sirens, and sometimes that's just a reaction to that noise.
Yes. Well, I do have 2 howlers in the house now. Let's see one more time.
Yeah. And then certain breeds you'll see howl more, like hound dogs. They're howlers, huskies, where some other dogs don't really howl.
I know. Yeah. All right. So is there a reason behind wagging of their tails? I mean, yes, I guess like happiness or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another form of communication for dogs. So you can tell by the position of their tail. So if their tail is straight up, then usually that's kind of a dominance type of thing. If it's kind of straight out, that'll be like a neutral position. Tail tucked means they're submissive or scared. Wagging can be from happiness or nervousness. So usually kind of the speed of how they're wagging. So if they're just kind of happy and content, it might be wagging kind of slow. When they're excited, wagging really fast. And so it is a form of communication, which I think is really cool.
I know. Sometimes I feel like their energy too. Like I see it. I don't know. I kind of read the room with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How to make dogs pee or poop in certain place? So I think this is potty training, I guess, this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of patience and time and training. So
Yeah.
usually, yeah, it's not easy with some dogs, but usually what I recommend when we're trying to train them where to go and where not to go, I recommend keeping them on a leash with you in the same room so that you can start to see their cues. You know, if they stand up, if they're starting to sniff around, they're getting restless, then you can have them on a leash so they're not going to sneak into the other room and go to the bathroom, and you can and see those cues, take them outside. A lot of positive reinforcement. So if they're food motivated, you can give them a tiny treat, you can give them loves and pets, to
Yeah.
let them know that they went in the right place.
Oh.
And so I think that's the best way, and just time and patience.
Right.
In my experience, it doesn't really help to like rub their nose in it or anything. Like, they don't understand that. But if you catch them in
Yeah.
the act, you can clap your hands or spray bottle. So those are some negative things, but it's not going to hurt them or harm them in any way, but just to startle them out of that behavior, and then
Mm.
follow up with positive reinforcement when they're going in the spot that you want them to go. Another little side note, some people use potty pads, and
Mhm.
I'm actually not a huge fan of potty pads. I think it teaches them to go inside the house. I mean, if
Yeah.
that's your only option, if you have an apartment and you're gone 12 hours a day or whatever, I understand people's different lifestyles. But if you can avoid potty pads and just teach them like how to go outside, I think
Yeah.
that's the best. At least for
Yeah.
me, I wouldn't want pads all around my house. So.
I know. I feel like this is what I'm going through right now. Like I'm always checking his cue, like with a new puppy. Like
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out, like, is it time or is he just making, playtime? Like I've
Yeah.
been trying to get him out, like I think over the past like hour yet, but he seems like he's just enjoying. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I I brought them out and made him pee, but I don't know. For some reason, he haven't been pooping yet. He haven't pooped.
Yeah. So just frequent breaks too. And so if you
Yeah.
take them out and they don't go, just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, for peeing though, like I was able to figure out, like, okay, he needs to, like, I just opened the door for him and he goes in and out.
Hmm.
But yeah, for the poop though, like I still have to, like, now I'm learning that he can go on his own in the yard twice a day. So it's really just learning his schedule. And like tuxedo, that I really know, like, okay,
Yep.
certain times in the day, that's where he goes. So
Yeah.
yes.
And dogs also have what's called a gastrocolic reflex. So when they get food in their bellies, it stimulates their colon that they need to go poop. And so, especially when they're first learning where to go and learning their bodies, feed them and then take them right out, because that's just kind of how their bodies work anyway. And so use that to your advantage.
All right, yeah. Dr. Amber, why do dogs have wet noses? Is there like a health meaning to that or something? Like, I mean, I read somewhere that if it's wet, a little bit more, like it's healthy or something like that. Or where's the where's the line?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, inside the nose, inside the nasal cavity, there's a lot of glands that produce fluid. And the reason for that fluid is obviously to keep the tissues moist, but also for the smell, the sense of smell. Those odor chemicals are dissolved in the liquid, and that's how
Mhm.
the nerves sense it. So, that's one, scientific reason why their noses are wet. And so some of that fluid, just naturally comes out of the nose. And those glands also are right inside the nasal, right inside the nostrils. And so some of that fluid will kind of coat the front of the nose.
Oh,
The other thing is dogs lick their noses all the time. And so that keeps the nose wet. So their noses can be dry and still be healthy.
oh,
So some dogs just have more dry noses, but as long as you don't see peeling or cracking or bleeding, depigmentation too, if it loses the dark color and starts to turn lighter, or bleed. All of those are signs of a problem. But if their nose looks normal, but it's just dry, then that's a normal variation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so pigmentation you mentioned, like that relates to that, or is it just
Yeah, there's an autoimmune disease that can affect the nose. And so you'll see skin peeling off, you'll see them lose the pigment. And so the tissue underneath is exposed and there's cracking and flaking.
oh, okay.
So, yeah, those are signs of something more serious. But if it's just dry but looking normal otherwise, then that's okay.
Well, if some dogs that have like losing of, because I have a dog that kind of, but it's like with age, but no peeling, nothing. Is that still normal? Considered normal?
It might be. I'm not sure I've seen really dogs have depigmentation.
I mean, it's just getting lighter, like maybe from the
Yeah,
brown nose, like a little, there's a little bit of white coming through in between.
huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time I've seen depigmentation with autoimmune disease. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I guess that their pigment may change over time, just like
Mhm.
sometimes their skin color or their hair color changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as you don't see like the cracking, peeling,
Mhm.
bleeding, then it's probably okay.
Probably. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How important is dental care for my dog? I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really, really important. I mean, I
Yeah.
think sometimes we think, well, we just don't want them to have stinky dog breath. That's the worst thing. But actually, dental disease doesn't just affect the mouth and the teeth, it can affect the heart, the
Or-
kidneys, the liver.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, you definitely want to keep good dental health because it really affects their whole entire body.
Exactly. It's just like humans, right? Like
Yeah,
us too. Yeah, if we don't really clean our teeth or take care of our teeth.
yeah.
Okay. So, do dogs love to swim or should they avoid the beach? I mean, I feel like it's inherent in them that they know how to swim, but not all dogs like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, my dog didn't love the water. He was a lab mix, and you would think that all labs love to swim,
Love
but
water.
he didn't really love the water. So I think you kind of read your dog on that one. If they like the
Yeah.
water and they want to play fetch and swim, that's okay. If they don't, then I wouldn't force them. Maybe they just like walks on the beach and not to swim.
I mean,
And of
'cause,
course, just be aware of the dangers, just like us. Things they can
yeah,
step on or
yeah,
um, in lots of lakes and rivers you'll see fish hooks or fishing line and stuff like that, so just be aware of the
yeah.
surroundings just like you would for yourself or your kids.
Yeah, well, Tuxedo though is pretty funny because like I think he had trauma when the previous owner told us that he fell off in a pond or lake, and
Oh,
when we started taking care of him, like we took him to Tahoe, and yeah, that was the first time I saw him like, swim because he wanted to fetch the ball with the other dog, and I'm like, oh no, you
oh.
don't want to swim! Oh my god! So we're like really excited parents to learn, like our dog learning a new skill.
Nice, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
So why do dogs bark in their sleep? And what should I do? I think dreaming, and I know I heard about that when they're doing that. Like you shouldn't wake them up because that's REM and that's like the best time for their bodies to rejuvenate. Am I
Yeah, yeah. Some dogs are active sleepers, just like people are. People that sleepwalk or talk in their sleep,
correct?
and so you'll see some dogs who kind of bark or whine, or they look like they're running while they're sleeping. I wouldn't be concerned about it. I would just leave them alone and maybe get out your phone and take a cute video or something.
I see that all the time in social media. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Okay. So is it true that dogs are colorblind? I think so. They see
Um,
green.
So dogs aren't truly colorblind. They can't see the same range of colors as humans can. So humans have three types of cones, and dogs only have two types of cones. So they can see some colors, but not the full range of color that humans can see.
Mm. Yeah. But do they see a certain color? I mean, I heard like green does it, right? Or
So the equivalent in humans would be like the red green color blindness. So
uh,
that's kind of how dogs see.
Oh, well, all tuxedo's toys are green. Loves a red ball, so okay, good, makes sense. All right, so oh, this one. What supplements are recommended for dogs, and is salmon oil good for dogs? Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, big fan of salmon oil over here. Dogs are on a high quality kibble or, any kind of high quality dog food. It should be balanced for their nutrition. And so they don't necessarily need supplementation on top of that if they're getting a good quality diet. That being said, I do think that salmon oil is great for most everybody,
Yeah.
because even if there's omegas in the diet, it usually can't reach the levels that you can get in a supplement. So, just the concentration of omegas in salmon oil versus what's in the food, there's a huge difference. And so I think that there's lots of health benefits in salmon oil, not only for what you can see in their coat and their skin health, treating allergies and inflammation, but heart health and brain health. There's a lot
But
of benefit.
yeah, I mean, I think it goes with humans too. Like, I feel like having omega threes is encompassing when it comes to our health, and
Mm-hmm.
it's from nature. And
Yep.
yeah, I love it. All right. So we have a bonus questions, and I think this is very important because like we do this to our dogs a lot or to our animals a lot. So um, there's a question if the dogs like to be hugged. So we're looking at an article here that dogs don't think hugs the same way that humans do. What's your take on this one, Dr. Amber?
Yeah, so this is some interesting research that came out recently that dogs do not like hugs. So the researcher Googled some images of people hugging their dogs and then looked at the pictures for signs of stress. And the overwhelming number of dogs that were being hugged showed signs of stress. And so
Oh,
that's how they came to this conclusion. It's interesting. I think some dogs are fine with a lot of physical affection
yeah,
and hugging. I don't know. I used to hug my dog all the time and he
yeah.
seemed to love it. Like I never saw any signs of stress in him. So the research article talked about how, hugging and obviously proximity of your face to the dog's face increases the risk of biting. Um, so that's kind of obvious.
Obvious,
If you're,
yeah,
if you're right in their face and you're squeezing them and they're showing signs
yeah,
of stress, then
yeah,
they could bite you.
yeah.
So I think, one thing is to educate
Again,
yourself about
yeah,
dog body language and dog
yeah,
behavior.
yeah,
Um, and especially for children, teach them
yeah,
like never approach a dog.
yeah.
Um, teach them the signs of that's a friendly looking dog or this is not a friendly looking dog,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and don't hug a dog that you don't know. I mean, all of
That,
those things that are kind of just what you should be teaching your kids about dogs anyway, how to be safe around them.
yeah. But I feel like so my two guys are snuzzlers. They really wanna snuzzle and hug, and I think it again. It depends on like the behavior that you guys emit, and I think also like energy wise, I think you can really read a room with your dog or animal if you're doing the hugs and if they're uncomfortable or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, in practice, I've definitely picked up a lot of little dogs where I put my hands around their body and they jump like they're expecting to be picked up
yeah,
because they're these little chihuahuas and Yorkies that are like used to being held and sitting in
yeah,
handbags and stuff. And so training them to see that it's okay too, if they're comfortable with it, that it's okay to have some of that affection. But some dogs are more standoffish and they're really uncomfortable with that type of contact. And so just petting and I've seen a lot of dogs that are head shy too. So we have to be careful. It's kind of like even my, like very experienced veterinarian, it's kind of my reaction or my natural inclination to want to like pat a dog on the head. And some dogs
yeah,
they'll balk at that. They're really head shy. And so that's
yeah,
something that, um, even I
Like,
have to be careful of, to just really read the dog before you reach out to
yeah,
them.
and to give them their space too, especially if
Yeah.
you don't know the dog, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that, Dr. Amber. All right. So we talk about a lot of stuff about dogs, Dr. Amber. But is there any key takeaway that you wanted our audience to like remember?
Yeah, I guess, just tying it back to the article that we just read about or looked over, about hugging your dog, I think it's important to know, we talked about the tail wagging and the howling and stuff. Just educate yourself about how dogs communicate so
Mhm.
that you can see, are they happy? Are they in pain? Are they uncomfortable somehow? And um, so that some of those subtle signs, they need to be addressed. They're early signs of something more serious, or and then protecting children, protecting adults from bites and negative interactions with dogs. So
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Amber.
you're welcome.
Don't forget to follow our channel for more talks about pets, tips, advice, and fun stuff.
Happiness, vibrance, and longevity for our fur babies and our planet.
Thank you for tuning, our dear listeners. This is Donnie, your chief treat lady at Vital Pet Life.
And this is Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life. Have a patastic day. Until next time. I would be sad if I never got to hug a dog again, though, honestly.
I me too.
So,
Like, oh no. Sorry, Bethany.
I
One more
would,
time. You'll be
yeah.
the hugs.